As far as I can tell, this is the ultimate NCASE M1 tempered glass side panel that you can actually buy. With precision laser cut machining, it matches the dimensions of the original NCASE M1 side panel, looks as close as possible to a factory upgrade directly from NCASE, and compatible with all NCASE M1 versions. So if you've been thinking about an NCASE M1 side panel, this video is for you, my friend. So in this video, I'm going to unpack everything that you need to know. Who this panel's for, who it isn't, and also my relationship to the panel, because I need to explain a bit. So, ultimate NCASE M1 tempered glass side panel, let's do this. So I can't wait to tell you all about this and the ways that it's been designed to be the ultimate NCASE M1 tempered glass side panel. But I do need to add a full disclaimer. This is something that I've personally sourced, inspected, and contracted the manufacturing on. This is my project, and I am very proud of it. But just because it's my project doesn't mean that I'm not going to be 100% honest with you guys. It's quite the opposite, actually. Because the thing is, on this channel, the thing that matters the most is your trust in me. If you can't trust the words coming out of my mouth, I can't earn your trust. And if I don't have your trust, there is no point to any of this. So I'm going to do something that no other manufacturer will do. I'm going to tell you the truth about this panel. Who should buy it and who probably shouldn't. Because like almost everything else on this channel, it's not perfect. Let me explain. But first I want to give you a little bit of a backstory, why this tempered glass panel exists. You see, I love the NCASE M1. I think it's a beautiful case, both exterior and interior. And that interior part is quite important. I'm sure many of you that have built the NCASE M1 have kind of taken a step back after you've built it and been like, this is quite a beautiful interior. The only problem is you put the side panel on that comes with the case and you covered all of it up. And I really missed tempered glass side panels when I first built this computer because I wanted to show it off. So I went on the hunt to try and find a tempered glass side panel. Being a premium case, I was willing to pay for it, but I really couldn't find a good option. And the two options that I did find was the one on the small form factor labs, which is 1, never in stock, 2, only compatible with certain NCASE M1 revisions. And the second one that I found was on 360 mod, which is also never in stock, uses pretty ugly screws to mount it, and again, only compatible with certain NCASE revisions. But to be honest, if they were in stock, I probably would have bought one of them and made do, just made it fit, but they're never in stock. So then, if you can't buy one, the next best thing is to mod one. And that's fine, I've done plenty of mods before, and the first thing that you want to do with modding anything is see if anybody else has done it, to try and take inspiration or modify from that to try and make it better. And I didn't like what I was seeing. You see, the number one problem for me is that the glass that people were using is about 4mm thick. And the original NCASE M1, the panel thickness is 1mm. 3mm is a huge difference. And having that bulk stick out the side of my case was a big no-no. You see, a good mod should look as close to a factory option as possible, and this just wasn't it. But to be fair, I don't mean to put the people down that did that mod. It's very, very difficult to get glass as thin as the side panels on this case. But it's not impossible. So I contacted quite a few manufacturers. I got them to send over samples so that I could test the strength of their glass. Then I settled on a manufacturer that I was happy with, and I got them to send over samples that were true to size of the original side panels. But this was extremely expensive because I had to fulfill a minimum order quantity, and it was starting to look like this tempered glass side panel mod for me, if I was to build it for me personally, was going to look like it was about $700. So I bit the bullet, paid the price, and decided that 0.7mm was the right thickness to compensate for our magnetic mounting solution, which also makes it version agnostic. It works with all NCASE M1 revisions, but not all builds. I'll explain in a bit. So then once I got the panels, I then had to paint all of them with a 20mm black border, which was absolutely laborious. But what that did was hide the case frame and make it look much more professional. Then they were good to go, and the people that bought the V1 panels absolutely loved them. They were most thankful that they were able to get a tempered glass solution for their NCASE M1. So I thought, how can we make this even better? A bunch of time, testing, measuring, and thousands of dollars later, meet the V2 panel. This was absolutely it. I increased the thickness to 0.8mm to improve strength, and also got a laser cut factory implemented 20mm vinyl border to make it look that much more professional. And I've had such positive feedback from everyone who's picked one of these up, so thank you very much, guys. So this is it. This is the V2 panel. There have been a couple minor revisions, mainly to the magnet strength to improve mounting, but the V2 panel has remained the same throughout. And now I want to talk to you about whether it's right for you and whether it will work for your build. And the best place to probably start is with the panel itself and how it looks. So this is the panel, and it actually has a matte black side and a gloss black side. So whichever you prefer aesthetically for your build, you can basically flip that over and mount it either direction. The panel itself is clear glass, but what you can do is window tint it if you wanted, say, a 5 or 20% window tint, and that would be very easy to do on this panel. As I mentioned before, it's 0.8mm thin, so once you put the magnetic mounting strips on, it should sit flush with the end case itself. And in terms of width and height, it is the exact same as the NCASE M1 original side panel. The only difference being on the tempered glass version, you don't have that angled cutout. See right there. But what that also means is that if you wanted to have it as a side panel for your interior, you could also have it on the opposite side of the case behind your motherboard tray. Just make sure that you're not blocking off the airflow of the power supply. When it comes to cleaning and maintenance, this isn't a cheap bit of acrylic. This is glass. So it really won't scratch that easily, and any window cleaner with a paper towel will work fine. But your number one question is probably, does this affect your hardware compatibility with the NCASE M1? And the answer to that is no but. It's no but because CPU air coolers, if it fits in the NCASE M1, it will absolutely fit with this tempered glass side panel. The things that won't work is the 240mm AIO support on the side of the case, but you do still have the ability to mount a radiator on the bottom of the NCASE. But in terms of GPU support, this is where you need to pay a bit more attention. You see, the tempered glass panel, its biggest strength is also its greatest weakness. Because it uses magnetic mounting strips, like I said before, it's compatible with all versions of the NCASE M1, all the way from 1 to current, which is 6.1, I think. But because it uses magnetic mounting strips, that means that any force from the interior to the exterior will likely not allow it to sit onto the magnets. So I've been testing with the Corsair SF750, and any NVIDIA Founders Edition or any reference design from AMD or NVIDIA will work without additional accessories, except for the RTX 3090. And I'll leave information as to whether your card is a reference card in the video description. But if it is, you have no issues. You're pretty much good to go. Now, if you have a chunky boy, something that's super deep, comes close to the side panel, this is where your cables can interfere with the tempered glass side panel. But luckily there is quite an easy solution for this. You just need to get a 180-degree PCI power cable adapter. So what that means is that any GPU that fits in the NCASE M1 will still work with the tempered glass side panel. It's just a case of whether you need that 180-degree adapter or not, depending on how deep your GPU is. So then your second question is, how does this affect airflow performance and cooling within the case? So I would recommend a solution like this. Your GPU intaking the air through the bottom, and then your CPU air cooler assisting as either intake or exhaust, keeping it positive or neutral pressure. I would recommend the Noctua NHU9S, which also comes in a Chromax Black edition, by the way. But of course, there might be a more optimal solution depending on what components you use. But if you don't know where to start, this is an excellent option. But I'm also going to link other recommendations in the video description, as well as some 92mm RGB fans, because they're pretty hard to come by. So check that out if you want to see what those are. But swapping over to a tempered glass panel, I see less than a 5-degree delta on the CPU and the GPU running OCCT, benchmarks, games, etc. Although this could definitely be optimized much further with a triple slot GPU or a GPU D-Shroud mod with bottom 120mm fans. I would have liked to have done a bit more A/B testing for you guys, and let me know in the comments section below if you would still like me to, but I think that's probably best done by an independent reviewer. So if you have a YouTube channel focused on PC hardware, drop me an email in the About section on YouTube. Doesn't matter whether you have 100 or 1 million subscribers. As long as you make content that's objective, unbiased, and engaging, we can probably get you one out for review. And now time for the honesty section, because I want to be honest with you guys. I've sent out quite a few of these V2 panels, and about 1 in 20 used to arrive broken. I've updated the packaging since then, and I haven't had one break so far. But if it does break, if you have bought one and it does break on its way to you, that's not your responsibility, that's mine. So if it does arrive broken, just contact me immediately. Send me a picture of the broken panel, and I usually get a replacement sent out same day. But it is thin glass at the end of the day, so let's see what it can handle. Screwdriver, scissors. All right, let's attack this panel. Because it is glass, it's pretty resistant. It requires a lot of force to scratch off any of the glass. What I'll do is I'll get a close up of that. I put pretty much medium to hard amount of force into that. And I'll do the same with the scissors in a location next to it. If I can find where I did it, there we go. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of force to scratch through that panel. But there's one other test that we can do. Shall we break it? Safety first, kids. All right, so bear in mind, it is 0.8mm. So being so thin to fit well onto the NCASE M1, it comes with limitations due to strength. So what the strength looks like is you can bend it a decent amount before, there we go. That's how far you can do it. So, to me, I think you would need to do something pretty intentional like we just did, or have a pretty major accident to break these glass panels. And the fortunate thing, because it is tempered glass, it comes off in big chunks. You're not gonna get tiny little glass fragments everywhere, which is also a good safety feature. So hopefully that was valuable to somebody. It scared the life out of me. There we go, now that I am done cleaning that, there's only one other honesty thing that I need to tell you about. 3 people have had their magnets demagnetized on the way to them. I'm not entirely sure what causes that. There must be something during shipping, but that's only 3 people out of the many panels that I've sold. So the likelihood of it happening to you is very slim. Also, if this does happen to you, again, I will try and get a new one shipped out to you same day. But speaking of, this is the accessories kit that comes with the NCASE M1 tempered glass side panel. It comes with a link to video instructions, also your magnet strips, and an isopropyl cleaning pad. And the last thing that you need to know is pricing and shipping. They are currently being sold on eBay for $49.99, with lots of positive feedback from you guys. So thank you very much for that. I do try and do seasonal discounts, but all of the money from this goes directly into the channel to make better content for you guys. And this means that I don't run mid-roll ads. I think that making a product that people value is a much better solution than that. I find mid-roll ads pretty obnoxious, and I know that you do too. I'm not saying that I never will run mid-roll ads, I'm just pretty opposed to it. And when it comes to shipping, it's not the cheapest, but then again, I'm basically personally insuring all of these panels. So if they arrive to you broken, both you and I are absolutely covered. But recently I have reduced shipping a bit, especially for international shipping. So if you're outside the US, yep, I live in the US. So if you're outside the US and shipping was an issue for you, check it again, it might be a bit cheaper for you. And I hope I've answered everything that you need to know about the TechLens tempered glass side panel for the NCASE M1. So I genuinely hope that you love it. Of course, it will be linked in the video description for you, and if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, or at least check out another video before you do. We do a lot of interesting projects and in-depth reviews on this channel, but otherwise drop me a like if you appreciated this video and you like the tempered glass side panel, that would mean a lot to me. But otherwise, thank you very much for your support. And I'll see you in the next one.